record this. Okay, before we go to this operators, static, this, final, and super. Okay, this for and super need to understand the polymorphism concept. Okay, without knowing that polymorphism concept, we cannot understand this completely. That is the reason first we will discuss this polymorphism. What actually polymorphism? Polymorphism is one of the OOPS concept in Java that we seen in the first session. Polymorphism is one of the OOPS concept. Okay, it is a Java concept, which means say we can perform the same action in different ways. And thus see the word in this polymorphism contains two things. This poly, P-O-L-Y, poly means many, and morphisms means forms, means same thing behaves in different ways. That is the reason poly means many forms. Let's take a real-time example. A person, right, a human being is a person, right? That person can be a father, that he can be a child to some other parent. He will be a employee, right? He can be a grandfather, right? A person is the person. A person is a person, but he behaving different way depend on the context, right? A person having relation, father relation is there, child relation is there, and one way he is a child, he is an employee also, he is a grandfather also, right? So this same man, if you think that, if you see that different scope, right, then his relation is changing. This way, a polymorphism also, the same thing, they act in different ways. Let's take one more real example also. All are human beings also, right? Everybody is dead. But if a human being can act as an engineering, doctor, lawyer, driver, conductor, right? Many things, all are humans only, but depending on their context, depending on the education, right? They are going to that place. Then the single action, right? If you think of first example is the best example, a single person can act in different ways, right? Let's take in mother also, right? Any woman, a woman is a mother, a woman is a child also, a woman is a teacher, a woman is an employee, right? Same woman is working right, doing these many jobs, but actions, right, their actions are different in different ways. That is called as a polymorphism. Okay, here the object is one, okay, that their behavior is different in different circumstances, which means depending on the time, depending on the load, its behavior is changing. Okay, let's take one more real-time example. Okay, bank, right? Bank, you could say bank. Let me, you want to open account in the bank. Bank in the sense, right, there are number of banks are there, right? Each bank have its own name. SBA, Axis, ICICI, IDFC, right? Bank of Baroda, like that. A number of banks are there. Okay, and let's think about that rate of interest. In each bank there may be different rate of interest, is that right? Anyway, they are giving the rate of interest according to their input. Yes, this all of banks rate of interest, if we hear the name, the rate of interest is same, right? But each have its own input, each have its own rate of interest. That is the best example. Now let's think about this two types of polymorphisms here. In Java, we have two types of polymorphisms. What are this? Compile time and runtime. Compile time, we can call it as a static polymorphism. Remember here, compile time is also known as static polymorphism, and runtime polymorphism is also known as dynamic polymorphism. How to achieve this dynamic and compile time polymorphism? We have to think about that. What exactly the polymorphism means? Same action is behaving different way. In the sense, we can achieve by using method overloading and overriding. What is method overloading? Again, the same question. Again, method overloading is a compile time, is a static polymorphism. See, just three things here. Don't confuse. Method overloading is a compile time polymorphism or a static polymorphism, and method overriding is a runtime polymorphism or dynamic polymorphism. So using these two, we can perform polymorphism, means we can complete our concept. So when do you, what is the difference between overloading and overriding? When do we use these things? We'll discuss in detail. Let's start with overloading. So what actually overloading in just take in general meaning, overloading means the same thing again, loading, right? Same thing again we are, right? Same thing we are key processing again. That is called a overloading, right? In terms of Java of methods, method overloading is the process, right, that create that same method multiple times in the same class, not in the different class. Means method, same method in the same class multiple times. You can ask, how can it possible, sir? Yes, because the same name will not be allowed with the same signature. Here, signature will be different. Signature nothing but the parameter, the number of parameters that we are passing to that method, right? All the method works in different ways because of the number of parameters that we are passing. So that is the reason we say, because of that method overloading, the same name, sorry, same method, the same name with a different number of parameters. Different number of parameters also can be different data types. This way we can achieve method overloading. Right? So let's see, for example, now let's create one class. Right. If you think general way, right? Sorry. For example, let's take public int get rate of interest. Let's take an example. Now it is expecting the integer. Let's correct that one. Let's assume return one. Okay. Now, as we are discussing the same method, the method name should be same with the different parameters. See, just stop up here and try to see that if you are trying to write this, declare the same method name, you say duplicate method name in type method overloading. In this class, you have a method name in same method name twice, means twice or thrice, just duplicate. So how do you overcome of this? You just pass this argument. Now, right? See now, the compilation error is gone. So the name is same, right? Rate of interest, but their signature is different here, right? But the integer, their return time should be same. Here, remember, okay, according to the definition of method overloading, their access modifier should be same and return type also should be same. Method name also should be same. Means first three parts should remain same. There should be no change. There is no change in the first three parts, and only change is in the method signatures, right? Parameters, right? These parameters can be anything. It can be integer, double, float, long, string, no matter of that. Okay. Again, you declare the same, you just see the same method you update. Now um, string, yes. Okay, I'm taking the string, yes. But you always has to return integer values, no matter what the argument you are taking here. But that string, you don't expect to return that. Okay, it should be differentiate with the parameter, number of parameters, not only the number of parameters, right? It can be differentiate with the data types also. Okay, this is what, right, about method overloading. Let's think about that's the same method, right? One more again. Now I'm trying to add this method once again. Again, you could see the compile time error. Right? This is why we can say this is a compile time polymorphism or static polymorphism. Means during compile time only, it identifies the definition of method overloading and gives you the corresponding error. It says the name is again a duplicate. Now this time I say integer x, right? Let keep like that and declare one more variable x plus y, x and y. Now you could see their signature, method signature is right. The method name is same, return type is same, and access modifier special is same, but their signatures are changing. Here integer only one variable. Here integer x, y, two variables. Again, now try with another method. Okay, one more time. Again, you could see the compile time error. This time what you can do, just z. Okay, you see the difference. You keep overloading the same method. What is the difference in that? In their signature. Signature is nothing but the number of parameters, or the parameters are differentiated. No matter what number of parameters, make sure you should not have the same number of parameters with the same data type. How is that, sir? Let's think of that. Okay, now copy this. As saying this, same number of parameters, right? Now we have same number of parameters, but you can differentiate with the data type, right? Just see float. See, simple, right? Let's control Z, then see this. You have the same number of parameters here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, x, y, z. Here also x, y, z. You just change the data type to any of these parameters so that this compilation will resolve. Now I change the one of the data type is float. Other two data types are integers. Again, one more method with the same data types. Now you could see this. Again, you can change the one of the parameter data type. See, this solves this. And one more method, see, and change this. Okay, here first parameter is, first two parameters are float and last is integer, and now first and last is floats and middle parameter is integer. Now this time I will change everything, all parameters as float. See, like that you can have n number of methods like that depending on your use case, depending on your uses, right? But make sure as a practice, as a standard, you should not have more than 7-8 parameters in your method that leads to performance issues. Okay, don't to avoid passing as much as parameters here, right? Try to reduce the minimum number of parameters here. That is not a good idea. Okay, I just showing that the method overloading will allow different types of data types, right? Different number of method, sorry, number of parameters here. The same method name, you could see it is just differentiating with only the number of parameters and their data types, and their return type should not be changed. Okay, once again, go back to the definition. What is a method overloading? Method overloading is the concept, right, that can be achieved in one class, in the same class. How it can be done? Same method name then can be repeat, or you can declare the same method name with the different number of parameters, or and with the different types of parameters, and their access modifier, return type, method name should remain same. You just look at the last part in the right hand side, right? All these right hand side things you have to look at that. Don't confuse that one. You can have a confusion, sir. How we can decide which method I need to call? I'm just confused. All are the same method. How do I call that? How do I say which method is calling? Just see that also. Okay, now see, just print out this. Okay, int x, right? Mm, method with single parameter. Okay, instead of returning one, say let's return x, whatever we pass. Now this is two parameter. Now what we do, x plus y. Okay, just stop up to here. Okay, the remaining methods also same behavior. Now let's write a main program. Sorry, the main method is already there. Okay, now we are calling, we have to call these methods from our main method only. Okay, now let's see this, copy this and create an object, method overloading, the meant to say new, then it creates an object for you. Okay, just call this object dot. You could see all the methods that are defined in your method. See, it's showing in sequence: integer, string, int xx, and float. So all these methods that we have defined in your method is declared, is shown in this list. Now you think of that. What is your requirement? You do not know what is there. How many parameters, but you know that you are expecting to pass 2 3 1. How many parameters you are expecting, but you doesn't know that what type of data it is allowing. So you just simply go ahead that for last example, right? You are expecting to pass both are integer values. You don't know either that method is there or not, right? You see, now if there is no compile error, right, then you can guess that, you can say that there is a method which exists with two parameters accepting integer data type. For example, now if you don't have such method, then immediately you could see that what is that? It is saying that the method get rate of interest int in the type method is not applicable for the arguments. You have defined a method with integer data type, but 3 number of parameters are there, and you are trying to pass that 2 parameters only. There is no such method exists. Now let's try to remove this thing also. Then what you could see this, it is a the first number of int. You have only this one int, right? Now remove this one also and see what is the error. It says that the method get rate of interest, right? You have the methods, right? It keeps showing the next level of method signatures, right? You see this rate of interest float int is there, but you are passing two integer values. There is no such method like that. This compiler will keep checking what method signature is available and what you are trying. So it compared to that, you are sending two integer values and what possible methods are there available. So like that it show that. So based on the error, then you can go the proper input. And it is expected you definitely need a method with two different two integer values. Let's create one more method if it is not available, which will not impact the other methods. Let's right now, for example, I can say okay, this is one method. So, okay, let's take this 25. Let's see, there is an error. See, the method get rate of interest. The int in the type method overloading is not applicable for the arguments double, which means you are passing two parameters. Anyway, you have two parameter method is there, which is overloaded, but their data type is integer. But I am sending a double numbers. You could see this one, it is clearly showing you are passing as a double. Then what I can do then? I no need to worry that. Just copy this method and put it here and change the data type as double. There's one more compiler here. You could see this one. What happening? No, yeah, even though you are passing the method data parameter is different, but according to the definition of method overloading, you never change the return type. Say yes, you are trying to return the type is double data type, but the method is returning integer. See, type mismatch cannot convert from double to integer. This method is saying, hey guy, I'm expecting to return integer value, but you are giving me a double value. A mismatch is there. What I'm expecting and what you are returning. I cannot return this one. I stop your compilation. So it gives compile error. It should be always the method return type only. Even though you have different number of parameters, make sure this return type should not be changed. Now you see this now, as the error we seen previously is gone. So there is no such error now. Like that, depend on our use case, depend on the scenario, we can go with that specific method with that number of parameters. Right, like that. In future, if we want to one or pass different parameters, like for example now method overloading dot get rate of interest or something. Now assume here rate of interest will not accept any strings, but let's think of that. I'm passing string. Okay, um string last name. Okay, so what we can say, I'm expecting to return this method, my first name and last name together as a, right? And return some integer value. Sorry, this cannot. Now, okay, create ELM. No, that's not required. That would say, you can directly pass the values as this is the main method. Okay, now I'm sending correctly. My input is correct, but why this screen? You don't have such method with type of string with two number of arguments. You see this method error? The method get rate of interest. You have only that method exists with single parameter of type string. In the method overloading class is not applicable to for the arguments. For the arguments means what we have given for this, what in this method is not applicable, which means you don't have such method exist. Then what you say? One way you can manual it, other way you can see it is giving suggestions. Right? Try to create a method, right? Create a method with two number of parameters. Just see this. Okay. Now you could see it just simply change according to our definition, and it is expecting to return integer. Okay, return some number. Okay, then you can perform your logic no matter what it is. Okay, string dot concat string 2, that's all. So those two strings are concatenating and printing. Let's run this and see the outputs. Say Kiran Kumar has come here. Some method with two parameters. With two parameters, what type of true data type it is, it doesn't matter with you, right? You know that as a end user, you are giving the input to that method name. You just know the method name. What type of data types it is expecting, you no need to worry that. Okay, you just think that of your use case should be working or not. If that's working, then nothing to worry. Then right, you have to utilize that method such a way makes your input data types are allowed and perform the task. Which means say now the polymorphism right is achieved by method overloading is the same method name, right? It is behaving different ways depending on the types of parameters, right? Different on the number of parameters and their types, like that, right? We have made the real world definition, right? A person can be a right father, it can be a child to their parents, he can be employee, he can be a grandparent to their uh, right kids, which means grandsons or granddaughters, right? The same way, this the name is same here, that guy, this person is same, his behavior is different. He's behaving in different ways. How is behaving in different ways? It's depending on the number of parameters, their number of, not only the number of parameters, their parameter data types. You can see here also we have two number of parameters. Here also you can have two number of parameters, but still it is behaving in different way, which means their data type is different here. And here you see one number of parameters, right? Like that. So it always differentiate not only with the number of parameters, it also differentiates with that type of data. Means that what type of data type, right? Data type means the syntax. According to the syntax, the compiler will check all these rules, right? If you try to create a method which something like with different access modifier, for example, now int public void int, okay, remove this. It is not expecting anything. Okay, you could say it's a duplicate method, right? If you just change the return type, right, what happens then? It is expecting that it is always just looking at the method signature, method number of parameters only. So even though you change the data type, it doesn't make sense that, right? Until you change this one, it will not allow you to fall on the method overloading definition. That is the reason, say strictly it follows the rules that are applicable for method overloading. You cannot just go something like that, right? As it is still allowing me now public void I'm able to write, but you are able to write. You can see this, right? Even though you don't confuse this here, it is same signature, right? Method it will just look at the left right hand side part only, no matter whether you have this guy. Okay, it is saying that, right? I change the sir, I change the return type here. Even if you change the return type, no matter, but it says that it is parameter is remains same. So please don't just tamper this overloading method rules. You cannot. Okay, now this time issue is resolved, but think of that, but is this correct? Is this fall under the definition, under the rule of method overloading? No, method overloading is always be differentiated with the number of parameters and then data types only. You cannot do anything in the left hand side. This is means you are ignoring your method overloading definition. So this cannot be under the method overloading. This is just like your another instance method. This cannot be done. Okay, like that, just try to write a static, okay, int. Now we already have, okay, one second, we'll take the data type is integer. Okay, now let's return x. Here it is, yes, right. Okay, now you see this time I change the static, the same method here, what we have it here, see this error, duplicate method again it is saying. So which means it is not checking the left hand side part, it just checking only the method name, and it is accepting the parameter, type of parameters, and the number of parameters. Okay, so no matter even this what access modifier also, just say even say private, no change irrespective of access modifier. You, the compiler will look the method overloading definition. If it is not satisfied, then it gives an error. If you change to right to resolve that compile time error, then it cannot be considered as method overloading. So keep in mind, we have to strictly follow all these rules to achieve this polymorphism. From dynamic polymorphism means compile time polymorphism, which is a method overloading. Always said the three ways we can call this method overloading can be achieved either, right, achieved either or not. No, this is all our same name. It we can call it as a compile time polymorphism or static polymorphism or method overloading, right. Method overloading is the one of the polymorphism concept. Okay, that is the compile time or static polymorphism. Okay, this is all for now. Okay, we'll see you about, we'll discuss that method overriding in the next session that can be achieved with the help